Well, as you just heard, the Mueller report has arrived with no further indictments, according to a senior DOJ official. That is it. No one else will be indicted in this investigation for collusion or anything else. So to repeat, after all of this, years of it, not a single American citizen has been charged with anything related to Russian collusion. Not one person. Not Michael Flynn, not Roger Stone, not George Papadopoulos, not Paul Manafort, not Carter Page, not Donald Trump. Many of these people have had their lives ruined by the Mueller investigation. Some could die in prison. Not one of them colluded with Russia. The people on TV have been lying to you. They'll deny it now. They'll tell you this was always about Trump's taxes or some foreign real estate deal or hush money he paid to a girlfriend. That's a crock. This investigation was always, from day one, about collusion with Russia, about betraying this country. They told us that for years, and we have the tape.
What makes you believe that he has more indictments?
Because he hasn't addressed the issues related to criminal conspiracy as well as any individuals.
Criminal conspiracy involving the Russian influence?
Russians, yes, yeah. I think it was very, in terms of American person, U.S. persons.
That's an area you know something about. That investigation was developing while you were still on the job.
Well, it was, in terms of looking at what was going on with the Russians and whether or not U.S. persons were actively collaborating, colluding, cooperating, and involved in a conspiracy with them or not. But also if there's going to be any member of the Trump family. Did you see enough
at that stage to believe that there would now that would result in indictments once investigated?
I thought at the time that there was going to be individuals who were going to have issues with the Department of Justice.
So that was the former CIA director, one of countless retired intel officials you see parading across your screen every night, all of them paid by MSNBC or CNN to toe the party line. All of them know better. They're lying. It's a habit many of them picked up years ago. Members of Congress did the same. To pick one among 1,000 examples, here's Tennessee's Steve Cohen telling us that most of the Trump family is bound for prison.
Well, I think they're getting closer to knowing that the truth's going to come out, that there was activities with the Trump campaign in Russia and releasing those hacks and guiding them to the states and the localities where they came from. Some of that was Jared Kushner's responsibilities. Some of it was Donald Jr. I think you're going to probably see indictments of both of those people.
That man is a sitting member of Congress. He's wearing a necktie. He's on television. People believed him, and why wouldn't they? He's an authority figure in this country, and he was lying. So was Senator Richard Blumenthal, who has spent years bringing shame to the state of Connecticut. He embarrassed himself even further with his mock certainty on this and many, many other occasions.
There are indictments in this president's future. They're coming. Whether they're after his presidency or during it, obviously the Department of Justice said cannot indict a sitting president.
And of course, there was Howard Dean. He's the former governor of Vermont. Dean was also, if you can remember that far back to 2004, a presidential candidate. At one point, it looked like he was going to be the nominee of the Democratic Party. He went on to run the DNC. He's on television constantly. People have long whispered that Howard Dean is not all there. They say he yells so much because he can't think very well. They claim he's so slow it takes him an hour and a half to watch 60 Minutes. You don't want to believe any of that's true. It sounds cruel. On the other hand, they might be right.
We believe we may well have a criminal in the White House, and the next step is going to be the Trump family itself. I expect that there's a good likelihood Jared Kushner will be indicted for money laundering, and then we're going to have to see how far the Russian involvement goes. This is serious business. These people are undermining our democracy.
It was never serious business. Another lie. It was ludicrous. It was always ludicrous. But no matter how much evidence you muster, you will never convince Congressman Eric Swalwell of that. Swalwell is the original collusion truther. There's no element of the Russia conspiracy that Swalwell, who's been on the show many times, isn't eager to believe and magnify. He really ought to have an overnight show on AM radio. He'd be able to tell us how Putin secretly runs Bilderberg. CNN, of course, loves Eric Swalwell. For years, that channel has broadcast uncritically virtually every lunatic claim Swalwell has ever made. Here's one example.
It's looking more and more, Wolf, that Donald Trump was a part of a criminal campaign, a criminal transition, and now presides over a criminal presidency.
a criminal presidency. What's criminal is what just happened. We have lived through 3 separate investigations into Russia collusion, not just Mueller, but a committee in the House and a committee in the Senate. And they spent years looking in this. And in the end, they found nothing. But during that time, this country, the country they're supposed to be running, has become obviously and measurably worse. Suicide, drug ODs are up. Life expectancy is falling. The borders are a mess. We have no clue who lives in this country, to the tune of millions of people, maybe tens of millions. We have no idea. The schools are a joke. You wouldn't send your kids to them if you had a choice. Infrastructure is crumbling. Hundreds of thousands of Americans sleep outside every night. So what are our leaders talking about? What do they spend their time obsessing over? What do they get TV bookings to rant about? Some irrelevant meeting with a minor Russian lawyer in Trump Tower 3 years ago. The New York City subway barely works. The largest city in the United States smells like garbage. People are fleeing it. What is Bill de Blasio, the mayor, talking about? He's ranting about Putin. This has been a disaster. How can we let the people who are responsible for it continue as if it never happened? How can Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff keep their seats in the House of Representatives? They should resign. How can Jeff Zucker remain at CNN after we now know that much of what his network told us for 2 years is a total lie? And it is a total lie. And what about the victims of this monstrosity? There are many. Roger Stone is facing life in prison. He was indicted by an investigation designed to find collusion, indicted on minor charges. He was dragged from his own home in a morning FBI raid. They put an amphibious vehicle outside his house and pointed an automatic weapon in his face, all to find collusion. But there was no collusion. Stone is still looking at life in prison. Where is Roger Stone's pardon? His pardon from the president. Let's hope it comes very soon. The Mueller investigation is over as of tonight, but the wreckage remains. For the sake of this country, let's clean it up quickly and move on. Chris Hahn is a radio host and former staffer to Senator Chuck Schumer. He joins us tonight. Chris, I want to congratulate you. You have been one of the people from the very beginning who said, I'm very concerned that there was criminal collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. And I think that's a fair concern. Whenever our leaders sell us out to another country, we ought to be upset about it. Tonight, we know that's not true. No one was indicted for it. Unequivocally, no one indicted. How are you celebrating this great news?
Look, I don't think anybody wanted to see the president indicted for colluding with a foreign power. And seeing that there are no more indictments coming, seeing that there's no more indictments coming down, I think we all have to read the report and find out exactly what happened.
Sure.
I don't think anybody's owed an apology based on the Trump rule where you don't apologize for anything ever. So I disagree with
I'm not invoking the Trump rule. I'm invoking common sense, decency, and logic. People alleged a crime. No crime was found, unless you're accusing Mueller of somehow being in Trump's camp or not on the level. I don't think anyone thinks that. So no crime was found in our country.
No, I'm not.
If there's a crime and we can prove it, we indict you. If we can't, we don't. So that's kind of pretty straightforward, right? You're an attorney, you know that. So we now know.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so why aren't we celebrating this? I'm confused.
I think that everybody wants to read the report before they celebrate anything. I know I want to read the report, and I hope
want to read it too. Of course,
the Attorney General releases the report forthwith. I mean, I think it's something that needs to be released immediately to the public, barring anything that needs to be redacted for national
You'll find no disagreement here.
And I'd like to see it. I know you'd like to see it. I think you'll join me right now in saying that we should all see it at the same time.
Okay, but I'd like to see a lot of other documents, too, like the FISA warrants that allowed the Obama administration to spy on American citizens in a rival presidential campaign. On the basis of what?
You know, there were 20
Russians. Why can't we see those?
Hold on, Tucker. There were 20 Russians. There were 20 Russians that were indicted by the special counsel.
I don't care. They're Russians. I'm talking about American.
That may have stemmed from the FISA warrants.
Okay.
Look, there is a FISA court.
Hold on. Stop. Why don't we find out? Hold on. I don't care how the U.S. government treats foreign citizens. I don't care on the border, and I don't care if they're Russian agents. I care about American citizens. The point of our government is to protect them. And American citizens have their civil liberties violated by the Obama administration on the basis of what? We don't know. So why can't I see those FISA requests?
I think those requests might be part of this report. They definitely would be part of the underlying documentation of this report, and I think we should see it. I think the president should declassify everything in this report.
I'm with you on that.
Today. He should go out to the
and those FISA warrants.
Onto the and Mar-a-Lago and declassify everything. Release everything to the public right now so we can see the underlying documentation behind Mueller's report.
Again, what we're doing is having a vigorous agreement here. Okay, so I want to get to, and we only played the tip of the cable news iceberg, the tape that we have of people predicting indictments of every member of the Trump family, calling Trump a criminal, calling him treasonous, betrayed his country, he's going to go to jail. All those people were lying, wrong at best. Well, should a member of Congress who's alleged a crime, okay, then why would they allege it if they didn't know? These are guys sitting on the freaking House Intel Committee who have access to any information they want. It's the House Intel Committee. They oversee our intel community. How can they get away with saying that? We learn it's not true, and they keep their seats. How does that work exactly?
Well, how did they do that when the Republicans were investigating Hillary over Benghazi and her emails, and there were no charges for it, and there was no crime done?
Okay, the Republicans are bad. You're not going to get
both ways. I don't remember. I don't hear a lot of people calling for them to resign. I mean, some of them lost their seats, thank God, but nobody was calling for them to resign.
Right. Okay. I am now asking you a simple question. I'm not here to defend the Republicans. I attack them all the time. Trust me, and I mean it when I do. But I want to know how anybody of any party who stood up and alleged a crime, especially someone with access to the highest level of classified information on the House Intel Committee, proven wrong, proven a liar, can hold his seat after that. I don't understand. How can you do that? You lied.
Well,
you got
Tucker,
caught.
that is up to the people that put him. That is up to the American people who put them in their seats, and that would be something for their opponent to challenge them in their election. So, I mean, that's what we live in. We live in a democracy where people get to vote for their leaders, and if you don't like what somebody said, you vote them out.
Okay, no. Maybe there's a thing called honor and decency. If I get caught, there's not. Okay. So what you're saying is the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, one of the most powerful members of Congress in Washington, one of the most powerful people in this country, is now a known liar, a reckless serial liar, and we're okay with him running the House Intelligence Committee? Yeah. Adam Schiff of Burbank, California, can run that committee still.
I think that what Congressman Schiff said was there might be some counterintelligence issues that we need to look at that may not have been criminal. We don't know what kind of influence the president is under by the Russians due to his financial dealings. That might be outlined in this report, too. It might not be criminal. It might not rise to the level of indictment, but it might be something Americans should be concerned about and should understand before they vote in 2020. So that's why we need to see the entire report.
Adam Schiff accused a deeply reckless and deeply dishonest member of Congress. Chairman Schiff accused the president and his kids and me on camera of working for the Russian government. Now we know that's not true. If you were doing that, you would be indicted, and none of us were.
Well,
how can he have that role as chairman of the House Intel Committee? How can he have access to classified information after that? I'm serious.
You are suggesting that everything he suggested was a criminal action that required an indictment. That is not necessarily what he said. There are a lot of things that need to be understood by the American people, and that's what this report might show us.
I believe betraying your country with a foreign power is a crime. Okay. Well, we'll see. Thanks very much, Chris. Good to see you.